And it's a brand new year, but same old stories for unpaid nurses and teachers. 2026, we're already 6 days into the year, but nurses, teachers, midwives, and even doctors are complaining about unpaid salaries. And if you look at what happened at the beginning of the year, especially with unpaid teachers, over 6,000 of them complaining about unpaid salaries. And they said they've worked for between 10 to 13 months and they have not been paid, calling on the finance ministry, in some cases saying that promises have been broken. And what are they, blaming this on? They are blaming administrative delays and non-issuance of staff IDs. This is the complaints from the quarters of the teachers, unpaid teachers who are currently over 6,000 waiting for their salaries of work done for about 10 to 13 months, but they have still not been paid. If you look at this story, for instance, there was a promise from the education minister who said that, well, they were able to get approval from cabinet for those arrears to be paid. But since that statement was made and that promise was made in October 15, 2025, we can say last year, over 6,000 of those unpaid nurses still claim that, well, they have not been paid. And they are demanding for the salary because they say that, well, government, if you do not pay us, there are two options on the table for us if we go through this whole process and we still don't have our salaries in our bank account. We are going to demonstrate, this according to the unpaid teachers who are numbering over 6,000. And in fact, if you look at the second one, they are also promising that if government decides to do business as usual with this issue, what they are going to do is to look out for legal actions against government as well. But it's not just, teachers. The issue actually started with unpaid nurses. Remember, since the new Mahama administration came to office, tomorrow will be exactly a year of the second stanza of President John Dramani Mahama. And already, I've told you a story about the over 6,000 unpaid teachers. But if you go to the nurses and midwives, they are also complaining. And it's interesting that you have a similar number, about 6,200. And they have also worked within the same period, about 10 to 11 months. And according to them, they were actually paid for only November of 2025. And we're waiting after that promise from the health minister that they were going to get paid. They are also blaming government for some level of delay, especially the health ministry for not honoring the promise that they made to them, and they are also threatening to go on strike. So we are just about 6 days into the year, and already we have seen unpaid teachers threatening to go on strike. But already this big number still remains. 7,000, health workers or health professionals are still waiting for posting. Why is this so difficult? Remember, we have told you the story of this, current government where they've been able to slash a number of, taxes. The COVID-19 levy is gone. E-levy is no more. Betting tax is no more. And that, according to the checks we've done based on the documents put out by the IMF, is affecting government significantly in terms of revenue. And on the same, tangent, government is also cutting down on expenditure. Last year, for instance, what government budgeted to, expend in 2025, it actually fell, below that target in terms of reducing its expenditure in 2025. Many have asked, could this be some of the reasons that since government is finding it difficult to actually rake in the revenues that they were projecting in 2025, it's making them difficult to honor some of this payment. Now, let me tell you a story about, our health and then, the education sector of our economy. Just look at this on the smart world. This is the country's, compensation of employees budget that we have tracked since 2016. Look at this from 2016 to 2026. And you can see the stepwise and stratospheric rise in the budgetary allocation just between 2025 and this year. The compensation of employees' budgets of Ghana in terms of how much we spend to pay workers, which includes nurses, teachers, midwives, and doctors, in fact, all those who work for government, is expected to go up by some 19% to 90.7 billion Ghana cedis. You can boldly say about 91 billion Ghana cedis is what we are budgeting to spend to pay salaries, wages and salaries of workers who are in the public, sector or service. And in fact, if you look at this number, you could say that it's big. But if you are budgeting such huge amounts for workers of government, why is it that you have combined over 12,000 workers who have worked for over 10 months and have still not been paid? I'll tell you a story why this is becoming difficult. Because if you look at our annual budget every year, the health ministry, if you are breaking it down into allocations based on ministries, the education ministry always comes first with a very, very huge budget, followed by the health ministry. So I am not surprised that you have workers who belong to these two ministries complaining about unpaid salaries. Just look at this on the Smart World. This is compensation of employees' budget for 2026. Both health ministries. Just look at the education ministry. That's about 32.3 billion, Ghana cedis. That is expected to go into just paying workers under the Ministry of Education. 32.3 billion cedis. You can boldly say that this closely, slightly above $3 billion that we need to pay workers who are in the or under the education ministry. Same with health ministry. We need about 15 billion Ghana cedis to pay workers who are working under the health ministry. So you just look at these two numbers and you can understand the bane or the headache for government and why it proves difficult for government to always make commitments for those in the health sector and then also in education, because the financial commitment in these two ministries is very, very significant. And in fact, if you make promises and you are supposed to meet them, you can see that the numbers or the fiscal position of government makes it very difficult for sometimes to honor this, promises. Just look at the education ministry's compensation budget, for instance. This has been the trajectory since 2020, since COVID, the COVID period. And you can track this to 2026 in terms of budgetary allocation. And this is even just budgetary allocation because we can prove to you that in terms of budget credibility, that is allocation versus actual payments, usually you have the budget credibility not being around 100%. It simply means that government may plan to pay huge monies to workers who are possibly under any ministry, especially education and health. But in terms of the actual payments, it is usually not 100%. And that is why sometimes you have some of these issues, occurring. Just look at the trajectory, so far, and you can see why this is a very, very big headache for a government that is still struggling at the moment to meet its, revenue target. It missed its target for 2025 and has to cut expenditure. Where is it going to come from? Definitely something must give. And would it going to be teachers? Would it going to be, nurses and midwives who have worked for a period of time? We simply do not know. But one thing we know for a fact is that we have combined over 12,000, teachers and health professionals who have worked for more than 10 months and have not been paid. And they are demanding for their salary. And government is looking at this, numbers on their dashboards and saying that, well, this is a very, very huge commitment for us to make. Just look at the education ministry, how compensation of employees' budgets under this ministry alone has actually increased. You go to health and it's the same story. That is why it is important to actually put a spotlight on the unpaid nurses and teachers tonight here on PM Express, trying to understand what is really going on. Is government really sacrificing or breaking its face as far as those who work for government is concerned? That is going to be our main point for discussion here on PM Express tonight, because we know that 2026 is going to be a year that, government is really going to test itself. For the first time by the middle of 2026 this year, we are expecting that we will exit the IMF program, and government is expected to run somewhat an independent, in terms of budgetary allocation, making your own budgets and even sometimes your own policies. Although the IMF will be watching, but we will be gaining some level of, independence. And how will some of these stories in terms of, a group of people saying that they have not been paid, will it change when the IMF is no more? Or, this year, for instance, government has done a number of rationalization, especially COVID-19 levy is no more, VAT has been rationalized, and that is projected to affect government's revenue this year. Huge, huge sums of money. If you combine, it's over 5 billion Ghana cedis. How is government going to combine everything and also look at some of these unpaid workers, over 12,000 of them, which I know for a fact that if you combine the numbers in terms of its monetary value, it's very, very huge. So how is government going to combine, reducing revenue targets versus rising expenditures? We'll sit with those who matter in terms of this conversation. The nurses will be here. The teachers will also be here. We'll speak with the Education Ministry as well, and then also a labor expert as far as this issue is concerned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. My guests will join me after this short break. Thank you very much for sharing your session on PM Express. And tonight is an important conversation on unpaid teachers and nurses. And as you always know, PM Express is always brought to you by Syntestank. It is strong, it is tough. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter toothpaste. And also, we need to talk about, water tanks, because Ghana, let's talk water tanks. Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's the right tortoise tank. Syntex tank is the champion of water tanks. It is strong and durable and built to handle our Ghanaian weather, rain or shine. Syntex tank, a strong, a tough. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter toothpaste. Every time we eat, we all know that food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay and gum disease. And in some cases, foul breath. Brushing your teeth every morning and night, especially after PM Express, with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter toothpaste gives your teeth the protection they need, leaving you with 10 times stronger teeth. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is fortified with pro fluoride and microcalcium ingredients, sealing tiny and invincible holes in your teeth. This prevents cavities, keeps your teeth strong and mouth healthy. And in fact, my guests have actually joined me in the studio with me. I have Eric Edefo. He is leader unpaid newly posted nurses. And Eric Ativo is also a convener of the same group. Hassim Mohammed is a media relations officer for Ministry of Education. He will join us via Zoom. And Stephen Kodutechia is convener, Coalition of Unpaid Nurses and Midwife Ghana. He also joined us via Zoom. And definitely, Austin Gamey, a labor expert, will join us via Zoom to break this down for us in terms of the labor aspect and what we should expect. But let me start in the studio with you, gentlemen. You've worked for, let's say, between 10 to about 13 months without salary. How was your December holidays, your Christmas?
Thank you, my brother. Good evening to your viewers and then all the people listening. This December, it hasn't been well as we expected it to be, because the Famiko that we were waiting for couldn't come as we expected. So this December, the Christmas hasn't been that good for us. Yeah.
Eric?
Enoch,
how was your December?
My December was quite a very boring one. No money to go out, so you just have to stay indoors and be watching the news and be hoping that something will be done about your situation.
One of your key members was supposed to join us on the show, but I understand there was an unforeseen event, right?
Actually, he wasn't supposed to join us, but this is a situation that he is going through. He is having problem with the spine.
Okay.
And then After visiting the spine center, they said his treatment will cost close to 20,000 Ghana cedis, of which he is not able to afford because he has not been paid. When the salary came, he got only 1 month, which is not even up to a quarter of what they are demanding for before the treatment.
Let me go on Zoom and bring in Stephen. Stephen, I mean, you've heard from your colleagues from the education side, and you are in health. How was your Christmas holiday? I mean, were you able to get your salary to actually have a good holiday?
Much, and let me say a very good evening to our cherished viewers. So this Christmas wasn't a good one, if I must say, because we had plans, but our hopes were shattered because what we expected actually wasn't met. So, all in all, I would say it wasn't a good one at all. Personally, I even had to celebrate my birthday on the 20th of December. But because I didn't have anything on me, even people I owe were on my necks, it was a bold one, and same applied to my other colleagues as well.
I'll come back to you on what you were promised and so far what has been the progress. But let me come to the studio and start with, Derek. I want to start with you, Derek, Eric. I mean, help us understand. What is the situation? Why is it that you have, I mean, the total number of you and a portion of you have been paid, and then you have some of you over 6,000, and you still don't have your salary after working for more than 10 months. Help us understand, and what are some of your demands at the moment?
All right, thank you. We teachers from the College of Education, we received clearance in May 2024. That was 10th May. And then we proceeded to apply. Ghana Education Service opened their portal for us to apply, so we applied. And then we had our appointment letters in July, 5th July 2024. So we started working. That time when we had the appointment, it was a vacation, so we started working on 10th September 2024. And from that time to December 2024, Ghana Education Service was able to onboard, a larger number of us. And then those that were left.
When you say a larger number, help us understand, quantify it for us. How many of you were able to go through the onboarding process, and what's the exact number of, you guys who are still left to be paid?
All right. So the total number that were posted for the colleges of education, we were about 12,000 plus, 12,800 plus. And they were able to onboard about 9,000. So we were left with, some had their staff IDs, but their salaries were not coming. And some of us too were not having the staff IDs. So those of us who were in such situation, we were about 2,000 to 3,000 plus. And then the university graduates also came in. They were also employed. Some had their appointment letters in November 2024. And then they started working in January 2025. So they too, they were about 2,900 plus. So in all, when you add those of us from the colleges and those from the university, we add up to about 6,240 something.
Now, let me go to Zoom and speak to Asmin. You've heard the unpaid teachers, and they are putting the blame at your doorstep. They say that you failed to give them staff IDs, and then the onboarding process, because some of them didn't have staff IDs, they couldn't go through. What is your reaction?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. And let me say good evening to you and then my co-panelists in the studio. And to start with, it is not the intention of the Ministry of Education to put any teacher in an uncomfortable situation after rendering service to the state. The teachers are very, very important stakeholders in the education value system. And we cherish and then appreciate the work that they are doing for the state. However, these are issues that the current leadership of the Ghana Education Service have inherited. And there are issues that they came to meet. And then some of them, during the issuance of the staff ID card, some of them had problems. The GES, a collaboration between the GES and then the students ensured that they were taken through administrative processes to validate their appointment letters.
Mr. Mohammed, let me come in. When you say they had problems, what do you mean by they had problems? Is it that some of them did not go through the right process in terms of the employment? When you say they had problems, what do you simply mean?
Yes, some of them did not go through the process to ensure that there was the validation was rightly captured so that they can be issued with the staff ID card. And then knowing the situation as we inherited it, we organized a meeting and then we created, the Ghana Education Service created a common platform in which they can interact with the concerned or the affected teachers. So after the validation, staff ID cards were issued to those affected students. And then there's another group too who were issued fake appointment letters. So after investigations, the Ghana Education Service realized that they do not have their records. And when it comes to the compensation, like I keep on saying, when it comes to the compensation of teachers, it is not the exclusive responsibility of the Ministry of Education alone. It involves other relevant stakeholders, like the Ministry of Education and then the Controller and the Accountant General Department. What the Ministry of Education or what the Ghana Education Service only do is that they feed the Controller and Accountant General Department with the information. So it is their responsibility to do the payment. So I want to believe there are some administrative lapses somewhere that has maybe caused the problem. And what I do know is that the ministry, through its agency, the Ghana Education Service, is liaising with the Controller and Accountant General Department and then the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Finance to address their issue. And what I can only assure them is that their concern has come to the attention of the leaders, the management of the Ghana Education Service, and then the ministry itself, and they are working on to address the issue.
I know that with a ministry such as Education Ministry, for somebody to be able to go through the process of being employed, they have to go through almost a very, known and stepwise, process. So how is it possible that you have people working for you who have fake appointments?
Come again. Your
claim was that you had some of the teachers who were currently unpaid. They had, a fake appointment letters. I'm asking that. This is a ministry that goes through a lay-down procedure before teachers are employed and all of that. I'm asking, how is it possible that a ministry such as Ministry of Education will have, workers with, fake employment letters, appointment letters?
Well, those issues are issues that the current leadership of the Ghana Education Service have come to inherit. And the Office of the Special Prosecutor has been investigating those issues. And at the moment, before the issue is under investigation place, we are unable to comment much about it.
Let me come to you, Eric. Hassim is saying that you have some of the unpaid teachers with fake appointment letters. Do you have any of your members who have come to you and said that, well, they are refusing to pay me because they claim I have a fake appointment letter?
We haven't heard anything like that. We keep on hearing this from Ghana Education Service and then the Ministry of Education. But as we speak, none of our members have been called or have been arrested for using fake appointment letters to go to their classroom to teach. And if some of us And I don't think all the 6,000 people that we are in this situation are having fake appointment letters. So if they have realized that some are having fake appointment letters, why don't they go after them and then pay us?
So in terms of your association, I mean, you are over 6,000. Yeah. Do you do any form of verification and validation before an individual who claims he has not been paid is added to that list, Enoch?
Well, to ascertain whether a member of the coalition has been through the right process to gain the employment, what we do is to try as much as possible to communicate to them. If you know you have a problem, make sure you go to your regional or district directors. Go and rectify those problems. And as the PRO was saying, they try as much as possible to onboard these people by doing a revalidation process for them. Yeah, so I think we from the colleges do not have such issues. And I can't tell for the those from the universities, because they also were employed later after we were in the system. So they came to join, and then we are having these issues.
But Hassim, I want to read this for you. I mean, this was October 15, 2025 from the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, and it quotes, "Cabinet has approved the absorption of 6,200 teachers, and the process will begin in due course. They will also receive their back pay." I want to know, what is the status of this promise made to the over 6,000 unpaid teachers?
Well, the promise still remains same. Like I have told you, we are working with the other relevant stakeholders to ensure that they do not find themselves in the situation that they currently find themselves. It's rather unfortunate that they have rendered service for a very long time, and then due to some administrative issues, we are unable to meet their demands. But what I do know is that their issue have been taken very seriously, and it will be worked on.
Stephen, let me come to you. Have you heard anything from your ministry? Do you have a promise that you'll be paid this year?
All right, thank you very much. So at the moment, we don't have any official communication from the ministry. We have had a series of engagements, but there hasn't been any official communication as to whether we are going to be paid this January or not. But what we are getting is a feed from our mother association, that is the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, that they are still engaging with the Ministry of Health to ensure that we are being paid. But at the moment, we don't know our stance because there hasn't been any official communication around that. Yes, if I will put it that way.
Let me bring in Austin Gamey at this point. You've heard from both the teachers and the unpaid nurses. And you've also seen the chart that we showed on the smart wall, looking at the compensation of employees' budgets for both the health ministry and the education ministry. Would you say that this is an important reason why this is, very crucial in terms of where we are at the moment, looking at the commitment, the financial commitments for government this year? Is it likely that this over 12,000, nurses and teachers who are currently have not been paid for working for more than 10 months, looking at the figures, do you think that they can be paid, this year?
And my younger brothers on the program, I appreciate the difficulties they are going through. And I empathize with them. I'm sure government does in the same manner. I think that it's an obligation on the part of an employer, like government in particular, not to shirk its responsibility. They will certainly pay our friends, no matter how tough the financial circumstances might be, they will be paid. It's about patience on their part. I think part of the problem might come through the abysmal transitional process we went through in getting these brothers and sisters maybe properly validated. I think I attended some meetings with some of the health sector people we work for that have not been paid, and the minister himself lamented, followed through the process as much as he could, and every effort is being made to get those people paid, to whom we even work for as well. So clearly, it's not a deliberate thing. It's not because, as your chart clearly shows, that we have a huge cost on our hands, and so they will have to close their eyes and say there is no sun. They will have to be paid, and they will be paid. All I have to say is that, whereas I empathize with them, I pray that they will be a little bit more patient. I also heard the nurses at various platforms making rigorous efforts to get their colleagues to be paid. So it's not like nothing is being done, but it's a challenge, and all of us must be patient and go through it. And as much as we could, we would push for them to be paid as quickly as possible.
Let's look at the options on the table for especially the teachers who are saying that, well, if we don't get paid, for us, there are two routes. It's either we go on a, demonstration or have legal action against government. Do you think that these cards that the teachers are playing at the moment could affect, government decision to maybe go ahead to process the payments? Because, they have given government an ultimatum. Is government likely to meet it? And if they don't meet it, do you think that these two options is best suited for especially the unpaid teachers?
Well, I appreciate, again, the challenges that they are going through. If I were to be in their shoes, and I will really feel bad. But I think that they should exercise patience and restraint. Going to, let's say, the law court, or going to, let's say, the Labor Commission, or seeking some help in one way or the other may be fine, but to what extent and to what is the motive? They cannot, if the court rules or Labor Commission make an order that they should be paid, still there must be some few things that will have to be done to ensure that money is available for them to be paid, including their back pay. And so, yes, they should rather, I suggest, go to, let's say, NAT or their mother, bodies, to enable them to lead them. They haven't yet become really part and parcel of the whole system. And so if on their own, they may not know the nuances of some of this negotiation, some of this approach, the need to go for demonstration is about putting pressure on government, is allowed all over the world. But I don't think at this point in time it's in their best interest to be engaging in that. What I will advise, and behind the scenes, some of us are talking for them also, they should rather approach it in a gentle way and not the other way around, the radical way. I think that may go a long way to have a solution to the problem than resorting to legal. If Supreme Court give an order, for instance, that pay them tomorrow morning, and there's no money, they may not be able to pay them.
So is the issue because government doesn't have money at the moment, or because government feels that they've not exhausted all the processes needed for them to get their monies?
I think the issue about money may not be entirely the case. It could be a very faint part of it, but to be honest with you, it's an obligation. I haven't been in government before and having faced similar issue before, and it has been all over all these years. But I think we've come a long way not to be repetitive of some of these things again. That's why I will urge that restraint will be exercised, and all of us would put our hands on the wheel to follow through, because they will have to be paid, and they can be paid. I strongly believe that government can afford to raise the money to pay them, particularly the the kind of president we have who is quite empathetic about working people's concerns. So I think they should just exercise patience and follow it through. Some of us behind the scene will also be advocating for them. I don't think demonstration and legalistic approach will be a solution to the problem.
Now Eric, the expectation is that the group to be at the front line of this whole fight should be either NAT or NAGRAT. But, I mean, you are currently at the front end trying to get your demands through. Do you currently have the support of NAT and NAGRAT, I mean, your mother bodies, in terms of this fight, or you are doing this alone?
All right, thank you. I may say that NAT especially, I think about 3 months ago, I was on this show with the president and then with the labor minister too. The NAT president spoke about it on the show. But after that, we have not heard anything from him. Sometimes I try to call him, I'll not get him. And then we even went to the office with a petition that they should help us. We were told that we should go back to our district and submit the petition at the district. And then the district will forward it to region, and then region will bring it to head office, which is very tedious for us to do because this is not an issue affecting one district. So when we were told that, I asked myself, which district are we going to submit it? Which district? Because the issue is across the country. So
you mean you need to submit to over 260 districts for it to come to 16 regional offices before it comes to national? Was that what you were told?
I didn't get it. I didn't get it. But for PRETAG, I have been in contact with the president, and then especially when we were not having the staff IDs, I sent a list of those of us who were not having the staff IDs to him, and then he also forwarded it to the Director General. But we were told that for them, the teacher unions, they have a way of doing their own things. So they are also working behind the scenes. But if you are working for me behind the scenes and you don't let me know, how will I be able to know that whether you are?
You mean there's no feedback system between you and NAT?
NAT especially, because NAT is the Mother Association of Teachers. So I was expecting NAT, let's say NAT has, they know the issue. We have been there since we started this issue, since we started following this issue. We have been there, and at some point we were told that we haven't started paying dues yet. So they cannot help us or something, and then later on they said they are working behind the scenes.
But if you get your money, NAT will happily take you on?
They will take the dues from the day we assume duty. They will take the dues from the day we assume duty. I am a NAT member. The 1 month that came, they deducted it. But yet, we haven't heard anything from them. We haven't heard anything from them. After the show, after I sent the list to the president and he acknowledged that he has seen the list, we haven't heard anything. Whether he has sent it to or whether they are following up or not, we have not heard anything. So we decided to go to the office and then give them a petition, sit with them, and then know how best they can help us. And then they said we should go to the district. We should go and submit the list at the district level.
Now, help me understand this. In this whole process, how many times have you met NAT especially, and what has been the reaction? Although, I mean, Eric has spoken about it. I want to know, how many times have you met NAT, and what has been the reception so far?
Thank you very much. I would say we've not had an official meeting with NAT yet, because anytime you go to the NAT head office, you would be informed maybe the president is...
So you mean since this issue began, there has not been any official meeting with NAT?
No, please.
Okay.
But we do try as much as possible to submit letters, petitions, explaining our issue to them, begging them to come in and fight for us. And in fact, in one meeting we had with the management of Ghana Education Service, the Director General made mention that our teacher unions are not fighting actively for us because we are not due paying members yet. So I was expecting when November first payment came, they deducted, December, they deducted. NAT should come out and issue a letter to government or something that, oh, now these people are recognized as our members. So try and pay them their arrears because you only pay them for November and December. What about their 14-month arrears? You've not come out to talk about it. And it's like NAT is just unconcerned about our whole plight. So we went on to submit another petition to NAGRAT. They took it, they accepted it, promised to work on it. To date, we've not heard anything.
Let me come to you, Stephen. For you, I know you have confirmed that GRNMA has been on board. But in terms of where your biggest headache is, from all the press conferences you have actually, had, you are blaming the Ministry of Health or the Ghana Health Service. What has been the status so far? Have you been able to possibly try and make your way through? And you've already said that, well, you've not heard anything from especially the Health Ministry or the Ghana Health Service. But in terms of the support, are you really getting the feedback from the Ghana Health Service as you may want?
All right, thank you very much on that. So with the Ministry of Health, first of all, let me commend the Ministry of Health, because since the whole thing started, the ministry has been very open to us. They opened their doors, they give us updates. But it's until now that we are requesting for fees on how the arrears is going to be paid that there has been a bit of silence on that. But that notwithstanding, the ministry had been opened. And with the issue of the nurses, most of our colleagues were validated in November and December to receive their entire arrears, that the 10-11 months arrears. But surprisingly, it was due for them to be paid, only to be realized they were paid just a single month's salary, although they were validated by the Ministry of Health to receive the 11-month arrears. So that is where we don't know where the problem is, whether it is from the Finance Ministry, from the Controller and Accountants General, where it's exactly from. And we are not getting any feedback on that from either the Ministry of Health, from Ghana Health Service, or any of the agencies under the Ministry of Health. So that has been the headache for now, because most were validated to receive full arrears, but they were paid just 1 month. And for the rest of us.
Stephen, that 1 month salary that came in, how much was it?
It depends on the grade of nurse or midwife you are. We have various grades.
Take me through the various grades.
We have the community health nurses, that's the enrolled nurses. We have the staff nurses, staff midwife. We have the nursing officers. We have midwifery officers. We even have the public health nurses and then public health nursing officers. So we have various grades. And each of the grades have their salary.
And are you able to give us an average of how much, if you cut across how much you were paid, an average?
Let me give a range, something ranging from, let's say, 2,000 Ghana cedis to 4,000 cedis, which is just a peanut, something small.
Okay. Now, you spoke about, payment plan, and you were really looking for this payment plan. Is it from the Ministry of Health or the Ghana Health Service?
Actually, we were requesting for the payment plan because it isn't something we brought up. It was a promise that was made to us on the 13th of October when the Ministry of Health had a press conference where they made it clear to the general public and the media were there that Cabinet had approved.
You mean the Health Minister?
Yes, please. The conference was held at the Ministry of Health in Accra, and it was made that Cabinet had approved for our salary to be paid, and for that matter, they were going to pay 1 month in November. After that payment, they will bring out a clear payment plan for the arrears. But since the payment of the November salary, which even a few of our colleagues didn't receive, there has been total silence on the payment plan for the arrears, which we demand so that we will know how to plan, because it hasn't been easy. And one thing I would want to put across is, we, the youth, they are saying we are the future of the nation, but they are jeopardizing with our future. How do they expect the nation to have a future? It's one thing they should put on records. Education and health is something that needs not to be taken as a joke. And for that matter, our issue needs to be taken as a critical issue and be treated with all needed urgency.
Hasmin, should the unpaid teachers, expect a payment plan soon? Hello, Hassim Mohammed. Unfortunately, we lost Hassim Mohammed. But, I want to know, are you also demanding for a payment plan, especially when it comes to, at what point should the government start paying some, I think it's between 10 to 13 months, right? So what should the payment plan be? What's your plan in terms of what you want from government?
We are demanding now that they pay us this month. And if they are
this
not...
month you mean January salary?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
If they are not being able to pay us, at least they should communicate to us, tell us that these are the reasons why we were not able to pay you, but wait till this time, or give us a payment plan as our colleagues from the nurses side.
So at the moment you are working, but you are not sure whether your January salary will be paid. Is that the case? For
most of us, our January salary, we are sure that it will be paid, because most of us have been onboarded on the payroll. And as the nurses were saying, they received 1 month.
How many of your members? How many of your members so far have been onboarded? On the payroll.
I can say that about 90%.
90%.
Yes, have been onboarded. And November last year, some got their staff IDs and were paid. And some were also validated but weren't paid. And the most painful aspect of it is that we were validated with all our arrears, but when the salary came, it came with only 1 month. And per our checks, it was revealed that they were asked to, controller was asked to reverse the arrears.
So you were sure that those 10 to 13 months arrears were going to be paid?
Yes.
But there was a directive from controller to reverse the arrears?
Yes, that's what we, per our checks, they were asked to reverse it.
Why?
But there hasn't been any official communication about it. Last time, I think on your show here in December, the PRO for Ghana Education Service made it clear that they were going to pay us in December. They will pay the arrears in December. But we were validated this with all the arrears, and at the same time, they didn't pay the arrears. They pay only the December salary.
Do we have?
We don't know.
Do we have Hassim Mohammed on the line? Okay, but Mr. Austin Gamey, in this situation, do you think that government coming out with a payment plan will help? Put some of these, issues to rest.
Yeah, thank you. Well, to be honest, that's why I took it that NAGRAT, and like I do know, because I was at meeting with the Ministry of Health, and I do know that they discussed this extensively. Some people within the allied health are also part and parcel of it, and we were working for them, and so it was generally discussed, and some arrangement of that nature was going to be part and parcel of the payment arrangement. Because if it's an individual, 10, 15 people is a different story. We are talking about thousands of people, and so the volume, the sheer volume of it, brings it to a certain total. And so that together with their pay plus other pay means a lot. And therefore, a payment plan will be ideal. And once, like my brothers are saying, once it's properly communicated to them, they will relax, and knowing that it will be paid within a certain period of time. So I'll urge the various ministries, together with finance and controller and accountant, to get together and evolve a system and properly get the leadership there to have a communication sent to their members. They are not people who are very difficult people. They are not out to destroy anything. I don't think so. So a lot of patience should be exercised. And those of us who are talking now, should we come across them anyhow, we will do our best to assist them in any way possible.
Well, this is still PM Express with me, Isaac Ofeje. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Government to
5 here on PM Express, and it's an important issue we are having a conversation on paid nurses and teachers. And I was actually having a conversation with you when we went on break. Do you actually feel that, I mean, in terms of your salary is not being paid simply because you are not being treated as a priority?
Yes, we feel that when it comes to teachers and nurses, especially coming from the teaching side, I'll say that it is a matter of the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Finance, and the government as a whole. They don't see our issue as a matter of urgency. Because if indeed the country is not having money, we are having economic challenges. They were able to purchase sanitary pads with a huge chunk of money. And then last year and this year, they will do it. And then they are even paying for the universities, the freshers. They are paying their fees. They get money to do that. But for the teachers, they will tell you that we came to meet problems. It is a problem that we came to meet. Yes, government is a continuous process. And if you meet, when you come to power, you come to meet assets and then liabilities. And if you decide to enjoy the assets and neglect the liabilities, then it means that you don't see that to be an issue of urgency. So we are just pleading with the government. We are just pleading with them. We are owing rent. We are in debt. Some of us are even ill and have to seek medical attention, but they are not being able to do so. And they keep on telling us that they came to meet, it is a problem, they came to meet, it is a problem. Yes, we know they came to meet it. They didn't employ us. But once we are working, the Director General was appointed by this government, and I can say that we are working for him because we are working under his institution. That is the Ghana Education Service. The Minister of Education, we are working for him because we are working under his ministry. So they should fast-track things for us.
I know he spoke about owing rent and not being able to pay for medical bills, but I mean, to be in your shoes at the moment, I mean, the question is, how are you even surviving and still going to work to teach young ones who they say are the future generation of the country?
All right, thank you very much. Our means of survival mostly depends on loans from family members, loans from our colleagues who are already receiving their salaries. You know, we all graduated from the same colleges of education, did our national service together. So I think they started receiving salaries before the transition happened. So sometimes when
at the moment, most of you are depending on your other colleagues.
Our other colleagues, our other friends. So it's affecting our mental health seriously, because you go to the classroom on an empty stomach and you're expected by your headmaster, your CISO, your district director to teach the children, to give them exercises. At the end of the day, they will come and inspect your output of work. And when you are not performing, you are in trouble. So I have a friend, Adogo Maxwell. He's at Chiripone in the northeast region.
All the way from Accra.
He stays in Accra. He schooled at St. Francis College of Education, Hohoi. And as we speak, he couldn't come home for the vacation when schools went on break because he doesn't have money to travel all the way from Northeast down to Accra. So he has no option than to stay there to spend the vacations on empty stomach.
Let me go to Seth. I mean, we've heard from the teachers, but I want to know, how are you also surviving? I mean, not being paid for more than 10 months and going to the hospital to take care of the sick. How are you surviving?
All right, so thank you on that. It's not been that easy at all on our side. As our colleague teachers said, we are also actually depending on loans. And one painful aspect is when we were being paid the 1 month salary, the ministry released the communication to the effect that we have been paid. And the general populace believe that we have been paid. And for that matter, even people who were willing to give us loans decided to stop. Those whom we had already borrowed from came to us trying to reclaim their monies. We tried explaining to them. They were not trying to understand because the ministry had come out to communicate. And the painful aspect of it all is that it's not been easy. There are people who would come out and defend. When we try to come out to talk about our issue, they will come out to try to shift the narrative to make it as if we have committed something wrong. We have done something wrong. Meanwhile, we didn't do anything. We are just being suffering for something we didn't do. And when we come out to talk, people will be trying to change the narrative to make it appear we are rather the bad ones, which shouldn't be so. We are the younger ones coming up, and the future of the nation lies in our courts, in our hands, and we are being treated this way. How do they expect us to, have the future of the nation in focus to be able to come and take over when the people who are currently leading are no more? So it's not been easy on our side, and we are actually struggling. We are just pleading for those who are involved in this to just come out, step up on their toes, and then do things quickly so that we would be paid and things will be resolved.
Mr. Gamey, I know you are not the finance minister, but I know you are also involved in this whole negotiation. And you're somebody with, a lot of ideas and knowledge on such issues. How much do you think will cost the country to actually clear this debt that we owe to these unpaid nurses and teachers?
Obviously, from your chart, is a huge sums of money. It's not 10 people, it's not 50 people, it's not 100 people. We are talking about thousands of people. That said, it doesn't really matter too much at this point in time, particularly so because they have been recruited. And recruitment in the country has not ceased. And all those who are being recruited left, right, center will eventually be paid, whether into the army, whether it's in the police, whether into immigration, whichever way it is, people will be paid. These people will also be paid. My concern immediately is I really empathize with them. I'm concerned about it. I wish I have the money. I will pay them tomorrow morning. But that is not possible on my side. But I would like to suggest to them that when they were being paid, they deducted from their money dues already. They should still exercise patience and go back to NAT, go back to NAGRAT, go back to the nurses. They are not tired of them. It's just maybe circumstances. So they should go back.
But Mr. Gamey, how do they go back to an association that they are finding it difficult to even get feedback?
Eventually, they will be members of either of them in one way or the other. Because in Ghana here, it's as if once you are employed, you have become a member of a certain union in certain circumstances. So I think they should not, let me use the word, cheat themselves. They should still go and let them speak for them. Otherwise, it will be unnecessarily delaying on the part of anybody. So I want to urge them, they should still go back. I would like to talk to some of my friends in NAT and NAGRAT, possibly tomorrow next, and urge them to support them. As for the Ministry of Health, I was present when these matters were discussed, and I do know that they are still pursuing it. Having spoken to the president of the nurses recently, it does appear they are still pursuing it. They are not relenting. I want to urge them all to go back to the basis and let them assist them in dealing with the matter, because it can be handled. A payment plan would be ideally the way forward. Could be that they can pay them either half and then half. That is the arrears, talking about the arrears. So they will not fall due to be paid, and they will not be paid at all. Let's say come January ending, when they are paying, they will be paid and carried along. Then the arrears is the one we are talking about, being paid through a payment plan arrangement. I think they should move to NAT and NAGRAT. I will be talking to some of them tomorrow via phone to enable them to take the matter seriously. And where possible, if I'm in Accra, I will like to talk to their respective ministers and see what they can do for them. A lot of patients will have to be exercised. If some of us are going to be talking for them, then they should exercise patience and let us follow it up for them.
Okay. Now, Hassim Mohammed, I know you have actually spoken about they being patient and the fact that you've already been able to get cabinet approval to go through this process. But at the moment, the most important assurance that maybe this group are calling for is, a payment plan. I want to ask the Ministry of Education, do you have a payment plan for this over 6,000 unpaid teachers?
Hello?
I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you, Hassim Mohammed. Hello? Hello? Hassim, can you hear me? All right, let me come to you, Eric. I know that at the moment you have given government an ultimatum and you have said that if you don't pay, it is either we go on the legal tangent or we go on demonstration. But beyond these two, cards that you have available in your hands, if government isn't able to meet this ultimatum, are you willing and ready to sit at the negotiation table to maybe talk things through again?
If they call us to sit on the negotiation table, we are ready. It's not as if we are fighting with them. We are not fighting. As people also think that we are doing this to tarnish the image of this government, that is not the case. We are saying that, and it is evident that we are working. We need to be paid. So if I am working for you and by one or two reasons, you cannot give me all the amount that has been accumulated, just call us. Even last month, we had a meeting with the minister. I was part of the meeting. That was largely based on a few of us who are still not having the staff IDs. So he listened to us. He told us to give the list to the HR for Ghana Education Service. We did that. So it is not as if we are fighting them. Whenever they call us, we will be available. We are only asking them to, if they will not be able to pay all the arrears in a particular month, they should communicate to us. They should call us, tell us this and this and this are the reasons. This is how we are going to do it. We cannot fight them. We cannot fight them. But we are only demanding for what is due us.
And you will demonstrate if they don't pay?
Yes. For that one, it is sure.
When?
If they don't pay us this January, they will see us.
When should we expect a demonstration?
After January payment. So we are waiting. When the payment comes and then we don't see anything, that is where we will.
First week of February?
Yes. Maybe.
Hassim Mohammed, are you still on the line? Hello? Okay. I mean, it's still an interesting, conversation how you have worked for 10 months and have not been paid. I know that the education minister is one that many have said that is a very listening, person. And throughout this whole process, how helpful has he been?
I will commend him for his interventions, because most of the times when we go there, it's a kind of difficult task for us to see him, but immediately he gets to know that we are there, he will just let us in. If he can't meet us that particular day, he will tell us, he will give us a time the following day to come. So I think in June or May, when we had our first picketing at Ghana Education Service, I think the following day he called us to sit with us, listen to our plight, and then from there he went to Parliament and addressed the issue. So he has been helpful, but the work isn't done yet. He will have to do more for.
Definitely, even if government decides to pay you in January, there is a certain subset of your group that will not have a payment in terms of those who still do not have the staff ID. How many people are we looking at so far?
Concerning that data, I would say from the colleges of education, we have a little over 30 people.
30 people who still do not have staff IDs.
Yes, who still do not have staff identification numbers. And then the university group would have a little, maybe above 100. Yeah, who do not have staff IDs. And per our follow-ups to the Ghana Education Service, we were informed by the HR that they would get it first week, I think between 5th and 9th of January, either first or second week of January. So we are still waiting to hear if that batch will come.
Yeah, and you confirmed that about 90% of you have been onboarded so far.
Yes.
The remaining, should I say 10%, apart from the staff ID issue, what other, problems still persist? Well,
per the reports that our members give us, they do tell us they have issues with documents. Some have staff ID, Ghana card issues. That's biometric capturing. Some also have inconsistencies in their SNIT numbers and bank account details. So all these are little issues that I think the Ghana Education Service should help us with. Yeah.
Hassim Mohammed, I understand you're back on the line. I was asking if there's a payment plan for this over 6,000 unpaid teachers.
Well, this is a question that we can best be answered if we are able to engage with other stakeholders. Like I keep on mentioning, the ministry itself, when it comes to the compensation, it is not the ministry alone that determines that. The finance, we have to work with the finance ministry, we have to work with the controller and accountant general department. So until we are able to engage them, we wouldn't be able to get maybe the right answer to answer, the right response to answer this particular question. But what we can only assure them is that we will engage them to ensure that they are rightly compensated.
Would they be paid for January?
We are going to engage all the relevant stakeholders to ensure that we are able to fix their issues.
I'm asking January because, a number of them were paid, I think you said November, right? November and December. And they are expecting January payment. And are you saying you cannot tell us for a fact that they will be paid for January?
Like any other ministry, what they do is that they capture the data and then they furnish the controller and the accountant general departments with the data, and then the payment becomes their responsibility. So we are going to engage them to hasten that so that they can be paid in January.
So far, what is the status of your engagement with these key stakeholders?
we have been engaging them, and then we'll continue to engage them until we are able to find solution to the issue, because the teachers are very, very important stakeholders in the education value chain.
Hassim Mohammed, you're saying you continue to engage them. I want to know the status of the engagement you have done so far. How is it looking like?
The issues are such that sometimes the problem may be coming from the teachers themselves, because some of their colleagues are unwilling to go through the processes from the district level to the regional level, and then to the headquarters of the GES itself, because some of them have issues with their Ghana card. Some of them have issues with their bank accounts and those other issues. So that's why I'm saying that we need to engage the teachers, engage the controller and accountant general department and the Ministry of Finance, so that we can look at where the problem is coming from. So collectively we can fix the problem, so that we will not have an issue where some teachers are paid and others are not paid.
But Mr. Mohammed, you confirm, I mean, and you know for a fact that they were paid for November and December. It should be easy for you to tell me the status for January, isn't it?
If they were paid for November and December, of course they will be paid in January.
And I just confirmed from the leaders of the group that even if you look at those who still have issues with staff ID, it's just about 120, right, at the moment. And in fact, if you take away that, we should expect that this 6,000 teachers should have their salaries. And in terms of the arrears, they will be paid in January as well, right?
Once they were paid for November and December, they will be paid in January.
Including the arrears? Including the arrears?
I have just told you that we are working with other relevant stakeholders.
I understand. You've said that over and over again. I want to understand that if they will be paid in January, will they be paid a component of their arrears, yes or no?
That I cannot answer that until further engagement with other stakeholders. The Ministry of Education do not input the salary of teachers. It is the responsibility of another government agency. And until we are able to engage them and then find the reason why they have not been paid for the past years that they have rendered service, we will not be able to answer that question.
Of course, I know you are not responsible.
So that's why we are appealing for space to engage.
I know you are not responsible for the direct payment, but I know you've done your own calculations and you've done your own stochastic processes. I want to understand, how much do you think will cost the state, or how much do you think we'll need to actually clear this unpaid salaries, especially when it comes to the teachers?
I do not have, where I sit, I do not immediately have that data, that information.
But you speak for the ministry.
But the ministry doesn't input the salaries of teachers.
But the ministry has a salary budget for teachers.
Yes, they have the salary budget for teachers.
Exactly why I'm asking you how much you think it will cost to clear this debt, to pay this arrears.
That is always done in collaboration with other agencies.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. This is where time will allow us to peg our conversation. This is PM Express with me, Isaac Kufieje. Do enjoy the rest of your night.